Welcome to the RIA Edge 100 Roundup. This is Bruno. I'm the Managing Director of the Wealth Management Group at Informa Connect. And welcome to the very first episode of the RIA Edge 100 Roundup, which is sponsored by Calvert, a leader in responsible investing for over 40 years. Now, why are we here at the RIA Edge 100 Roundup? Well, it's largely to introduce a very new, important program that the group over at wealthmanagement.com, WMIQ, and our strategic partners at Discovery Database have been spending quite a bit of time on. The RIA Edge 100 is a new, I hesitate to call it a list, it's really more of a new standard that we're introducing to the wealth management industry to acknowledge who some of the most well-run, organized, successful, strategic, and focused RIAs are across the industry. Now, the last thing, arguably, our industry needed was another list of top firms, but that's exactly why we created the RIA Edge 100. We're doing much more than just looking at the size of firms. We're also looking at much more than just their growth rates. We know if we're looking at assets year over year, there are a lot of different things that can contribute to growth, and they're not all necessarily strategic in what we would consider to be, quote, good growth. So working closely with the Discovery team, the RIA Edge 100 list looks at a few different things. At a very high level, yes, of course, we are looking at growth in assets under management. That is, of course, critical. We're looking at that over the last several years. In addition to that, though, we are looking at structure and we're looking at service. Now, what do I mean by that? We're looking at very important ratios that we know that a lot of people and decision makers in the wealth management industry are also looking at. Of course, we looked at every RIA that has filed an ADV with the SEC. So that's our starting point. From there, we looked at the firms that were growing the fastest, but we also looked at how many clients did these firms have, how many advisors did these firms have, and also how many CFPs do these firms have. Now, why did we look at that? Because we wanted to make sure that we understood how firms are not only supporting their clients, but how many firms are really truly investing in their staff, servicing and supporting their clients. So we looked at ratios of advisors to clients. We also looked at percentage of advisors that are CFPs. And when we rolled that all up, we created a composite score. And we essentially ranked thousands of RIAs from top to bottom. Once we did that, we looked at the 100 firms, right, that scored the best. The size of the firm had very little, if anything, really to do it. We set a cutoff at 250 million in assets under management, so firms had to be above that, right? But other than that, size did not matter at all. And that was critical for us. We also, importantly, did not rank the firms from 1 to 100. Why? It's really impossible to say that one firm, is better than another when we're looking at 100 firms that, all things being equal, are completely different from a service and a structure perspective. They have completely different business models. They have a completely different organizational design, and they have completely different ways of thinking about growth. No one is better than the other, and that's exactly why we decided to create a pool of the 100 most well-run firms and also some of the most successful firms in the RIA and wealth management industry. So with that, you'll see more from me, for better or for worse, over the coming months talking about the RIA Edge 100 list. You'll also see more from wealthmanagement.com. Ali Hibbs has been doing regular profiles of some of the firms that were featured in the initial RIA Edge 100 list. And we're doing more and more RIA Edge podcast interviews with many of these firms as well. And lastly, of course, we will have a lot of our RIA Edge 100 firms at our main event, Wealth Management Edge and RIA Edge, May 21st through May 24th at the Diplomat Hotel in Hollywood, Florida. So if you are an RIA Edge 100 firm, we would love to have you down there. If you're not, but you'd like to network with and pick the brains of some of the top firms in the industry, please visit wealthmanagement.com for more information. On behalf of the Wealth Management team at Informa and the first episode of the RIA Edge 100 Roundup, I'm Bruno. Thanks for tuning in.